Welcome back to Toriko Anime Review Part 2. This one I'm covering episodes 23 through 48. Yep. And the arcs that are covered in this one are the Century Soup, the filler Gourmet King Deciding Battle, and Ozone Herb. The Century Soup arc is by far a really long arc. It takes up 19 episodes of the series. Though here's something really weird though. A majority of the stuff that happens with Century Soup actually wraps up a good like 3 episodes prior to the end. It's kind of like the not last 3 episodes, just aftermath stuff, like the last 2 or 3. And this is the arc that introduced a gourmet knight, and his name is Takahama, voiced by Todd Herkeburn, who's now voicing Natsu Dragono from Fairy Tail. He also voiced Koza from One Piece, the Six Tails from Naruto Shippuden, Mo Segara from Bleach, Marlo from Attack on Titan, Anto Karasuma from Tokyo Ghoul, and Jadit in Sailor Moon Crystal, and of course the bomber from the Green Island arc for Hunter x Hunter. I didn't watch the Green Island arc dubbed, I watched it subbed, so I didn't exactly know how his voice sounded in the dub. Mainly because by the time I finished up watching the dub, it was like 2 episodes before they finished dubbing the Phantom Troop arc. Right now, they're in the Khmer Ant arc. Yep. The Century Soup arc, like the first episode, essentially is kind of like a prelude. Basically, it's just Kamatsu and Toriko going to this place called Gourmet Town, where they eat at a bunch of restaurants, and this starts the reoccurring gag of Tomatsu just enjoying his meal, and then he turns over to see how Toriko is, and he's already gotten through about 50 plates of food. Yep. And they also introduced in the manga they refer to it as the black card. In the anime, it's gold for some reason. It has unlimited limit. It has no limit on it, which in real life, credit cards like that do not exist at all. And this is charging for like 12 to about 50 million, well, whatever the currency is. It's yen, yeah. 50, it's a lot of money because Toriko eats a lot because he's got gourmet sales. So me with the legendary national treasure, Granny Sharu, who, even though she's an older woman, she still has her hair is still pink. Yep, her hair is still pink, and she's a master, and she's an old friend of Toriko's. Now, Kamasu already knows who this woman is, so yeah. I mean, once he got a chance to meet, he was like, wow. And also, for some reason, now this is never explained, where she's always seen bending her back, even though that, well, and she's seen walking at first with a cane, then she stops using the cane for some reason. Yeah, it's never properly explained when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to like the first episode, it's very accurately depicting what happened in the manga. I mean, the only thing they threw in here was just basically stuff with Tina. Yeah, that the whole thing with Tina is filler, but it's pure fun. I mean, I love what Tina does, and pretty much the whole arc that pretty much receives the same. Oh, there's a couple things I forgot to mention in part 1 that were changes from the manga. One, of course, is how the origin of Ren's scars. In the manga, Ren did that to herself. In the anime, she never actually told Toriko exactly how she got the stars. The other is the way she was revived after she got stabbed through the freaking stomach. Yeah, where in the manga, Toriko spit into her mouth. In the anime, it looks like he kissed her. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like he kissed her. I forgot to mention that. But in the case of this particular one, mostly put for the Century Soup arc, it proceeds pretty much very well as it is depicted in the manga. One change they do make is the way Tommy Rod meets Toriko. In the manga, he's like very happy to meet him. Like, hi Toriko, nice to meet you. Gives him a hug. In the anime, he doesn't do that at all. Nope. And the guy voicing the guy's name is Greg Ayers. hmm Yeah, that's the guy who voices him in the anime. hmm Yeah, I'm not. I have to look up and see who Tommy. I mean, Tommy Rod is a pure fun character. I mean, yeah, he does appear in this arc, but he does come back. Yeah, he comes back for the arc that happened just before the time skip. So he's not dead. He's just unconscious, barely alive at best. Uh huh. Yep. Let's see if I can find these people here. Now they do introduce in this arc, but let's see if I can find them here. Let's see. We have. I can find the correct guy here. It's not Komatsu. It's I know it was one particular guy. I think it's John Sweeney. Yeah. Yeah, John Sweeney. Who if you ever hear this guy's voice in this anime, like, man, this guy sounds so familiar. That's because he voiced Sir Crocodile from One Piece. Yep. That's what he did. He also voiced Bolts from Akame ga Kill, and he also voiced the Dora from DBZ Kaiba. Yep. He was a new voice for him. Yeah, it's like for Kai, they replaced a lot of them. I mean, Dora. This is not the guy who originally voiced him, but yeah, there's that. And this is actually his first full appearance because I think he makes like cameos here and there, but he's still an interesting character. But unlike in One Piece, where he's more like a commanding character, here he's basically playing a supporting character, even though he's like higher up in the food, even though he's high up in the food chain, but not the highest part of the food chain. Yeah, that's simply the way he is. Oh yeah, they also threw in a couple characters who actually are not in this part of the manga. Coco, who actually does not appear in the arc at all, because I remember reading it. He does not appear in the arc at all, and my guess is they probably threw him in because the animators probably just love using Coco, so they threw him in. So why not him and his bird kiss? Yep, and Granny Shanna does show up later on, but yeah, and during the course of the fighting, Toriko loses his arm, though he does get back. And the characters pop in this arc are really interesting characters. Aside from the Gourmet Knight, you also have the mobster who's got scars in his face, who actually got the scars from Zebra. And it turns out that the Gourmet Knight's master is an old friend of this guy's name's Match. He's no friend of Match's old boss, which I'm like, that is interesting. And they kind of follow this up with what happens in the arc, which I'll mention in a minute. But yeah, of course, the ending of this arc does set up the filler arc, the Gourmet King arc. Yep. Of course, that takes place in the anime just after Century Soup. Yep. Oh, and also, they don't give colors. Now, they have these thermal suits, which they have bugs in them. Now, they get pretty much like Toriko's, like orangish color. I think Tamacho's is green. Tina, they give pink because she's a woman. Why not? Almost everybody else is like generic, like red, or pretty much a lot of them are all the same color. But yeah, of course the mobster. This might be a mobster. Oh yeah, and he does use a Tommy gun. Yep. Except instead of firing like regular bullets, these are ice bullets. And he does, like, there's one member of the group, I don't remember his name though, but he's a big bulky guy who has like this metal thing on top of his head, metal gauntlets, and a metal like waistband. And apparently he's naturally can produce from his pores antifreeze that keeps him warm, which also makes him bulletproof, which is interesting. Yeah, and it turns out that Match's sword is made from a creature who can actually eat the actual this particular giant turtle, which the shell of this guy's armor is made of. Yep. It is interesting how he beats it. Basically, just slices the belt off, and that's it. He just beat him that way. The Gourmet Knight guy, he actually disables one member of the group, the guy who can basically stretch them people's bodies. He defeats him by dislocating a part of his pelvis. Yeah, which he does the same thing in the manga. And he shows like this little bone. Which apparently, oh yeah, in his body he's got over 4,000 bones. And the actual human body is like 200, I think it's 206. And this guy's got 4,000. They actually show his inside about like, wow, this guy's got tons of bones. That can explain why he can actually stretch over people's bodies, whoever he wants. Yeah. And after everybody's defeated out, the waiter guy, he throws out plates, and he's got like 4 arms, and Granny Shida just defeats him by breaking his plates. and he just runs away. Yeah. Of course, all the wounded are taken away to the country of life, which everyone can say is for healing. Heck, even Sunny decides to, well, Sunny decided to go to a spa there, and just by sheer coincidence, now while on the way to meeting the Gourmet Knight's master, they just happen to run into Sunny just by pure coincidence. And Ren basically is constantly worried about Toriko, which I don't have a problem with that. It's kind of like how whenever Hinata worries about Naruto in the series Naruto, Rin does pretty much the same thing. She's worried about Toriko, worried about his health. She wants him to live because, well, she's in love with him, though she hasn't told him. Yep. And she and her brother Sunny stayed there while everyone else was recovered, and yeah, while everyone else was recovered, like Match, everybody else. Match, of course, got his leg injured, and the way that Toriko was able to recover was by eating a bunch of food, and sleep in this lounge chair, which is surrounded by this petroleum jelly. Yeah. And after a while, Rin and Sunny are just pretty much exhausted. I mean, it's always great to have Sunny around. He's a delight of a character. Mm-hmm. Him and Coco always. Though Coco doesn't do very much in this arc. I mean, he just shows up. He does pretty much almost very little, but it's always nice to see the guy. And then the final episode is, well, actually the penultimate episode is Komatsu making the century soup after he got a taste of it. And Tina records the whole thing. And apparently, even though it was a big scoop, apparently her editor, her boss, decided not to air it for oh yeah, because they can't see it. This guy is a buffoon. If Toriko met this guy and told him, yeah, that's what a century soup looks like, air it. If he did refuse, Toriko would probably just go crazy. And I mean, yeah. I mean, there's nothing going on between Toriko and Tina, which I'm kind of glad that the animators basically decided. Despite the Tina herself is a great character, and she's very useful. She's not basically there just to be annoying. She's actually been very useful. I mean, she was useful in Regal Mammoth. She's useful in Century Soup, which I think she's a great character. I kind of wish she was more. I kind of wish she was in the manga a lot more and just a one-panel cameo in chapter 145. Yeah, that's basically where she is. But overall, great arc and excitement too. Great battle with the Gourmet Corps, though we don't get a chance to something like this big until like the arc that ends the anime. Next up is the Gourmet King deciding battle arc. This one is a quick little two-parter, which is the Heavenly Kings getting these 3 ingredients to this particular creature, who apparently is not eating. It kind of reminds me of what Terracloth went through with the BB arc, BB Corn arc. So it's similar, but not exact carbon copy because they get something different. Of course, in the case of Sunny gets some milk, Coco gets honey, and Toriko gets berries. Now, apparently, it looked like he was going to attack Rin. Of course, Toriko stepped in front of her and protected her, which got appreciated for doing that. So I guess Rin's like, thank you. Yeah, she got protected by the man she has a thing for. and you figure out why he was upset, because Rin was seen eating this particular dessert that she's seen a few times in the anime, actually, in this particular dessert, like berry, milk, and honey. And according to the kid who actually was on the sword competition, apparently that was the first dish they ate. So Komatsu combined all 3 of the ingredients because he was interested in all 3 of them. So he combined all 3 and then he ate it. And the reason why, because it was the last one to go, and it's unknown if they won the billion yen. But this is a fun little side arc, but it's great for the anime, and it doesn't interrupt the flow of the series. Nope. It's a filler. Yep. Next up is a 5-parter known as the Ozone Herb, which is the introduction to the president of the IGO. How do you pronounce the guy's name? Ichiru, who is voiced by Bruce Elliott, which some people might recognize this guy from playing characters like Whitebeard from One Piece, Captain Ginyu from DBZ Kai, Makarov from Fairy Tail, and Don Proxis from Attack on Titan. So we have like 2 people from Attack on Titan in the series. Oh yeah, and in case you're wondering, does Ichio and Komatsu, do they interact in this arc? Yes, they interact in the last one. And he appears in the first episode, and he appears in the last part of this arc. And it's great when you get a chance to see this guy. This guy, even though he's an old guy, but he looks in great shape for a man his age. And he kind of reminds me a little bit of both of the way that Bruce Lee portrays me. Kind of reminds me of both of the way he portrayed Makarov and a little bit of Whitebeard because of how strong and imposing he is. So that's what's. And is it just me, or he always plays characters with mustaches? Well, with the exception of Captain Ginyu, he didn't have a mustache, but Makarov, Whitebeard, and Don Proxys all have mustaches. I guess he has a thing for playing older characters who have mustaches. Though I think of the three, I think that Makarov, I think, is the oldest. I think second oldest character he's played overall is probably Whitebeard. I would say, I'm not sure how old Don Proxys is supposed to be. Could be in his 60s. Who knows? I've never found out exactly how old he is. But the guy's a great character, and I'm like, yeah, it was a good idea to have this guy be president because this guy's a badass of a fighter. And when he meets Komatsu, he's like, yeah, he says, I work for the Hotel Gourmet. I don't know if you heard of it. He's like, sure, the IGO owns the Hotel Gourmet. So he says, that basically makes you one of my employees. Which I'm like, cool. And this is also in this last episode is when Toriko officially makes Komatsu his partner, which this stays pretty much the rest of the series. So this is permanent. Even though even though Toriko marries Rin, becomes his wife, Toriko is his partner when he goes out in the field, gets ingredients. And it's not sexual, which is odd. Though in the case, and then also in this fight party, you also get a chance to see the Naki Master. It's always nice to see this guy. This guy first showed up in the Century Soup arc. Was Century Soup? I remember it was actually no, it was Puffer. Yeah, it was the Puffer Whale arc. He showed up there. A couple other times show up in flashback, but it's always great to see this guy. This guy's a fun character. This guy's a hoot to always watch. And the weird thing about this ozone grass, you have to eat like 2 bites at a time, which is odd. Yeah, and the way that Toriko and Komatsu, they had to pull like 2 leaves at a time in order to, get the ozone grass. And Ichiro basically was impressed with Komatsu's way he relegated this gourmet box to all the temperature, all the air stuff because it's not in the system. So he made it himself, and he was very impressed with it. And he tells Toriko like, "Good choice for our partner," because he approves of him. Yeah, and Toriko calls him old man, and when I have a little research, this guy actually adopted Toriko. Yeah, and it turns out that he was actually a student of some other guy who I think is supposed to be Toriko's biological father. And it turns out that, you're going to love this, the guy who's the head of the Gourmet Corps was also a fellow like classmate of his under this one guy. He didn't say who the third one was, per se, but actually it was Jiro. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jiro. I haven't seen him yet. Oh yeah, the Naki Master. Yeah, the Naki Master. Yeah. And here's the thing with Jiro the Naki Master. He's always seen drunk. Yep. I think this is overall his we see him in the anime. I think it's like his 3rd appearance in the anime. But yeah, great guy. Though he does show up just before the time skip. Though he hasn't shown up since then. And apparently, Jiru, Granishio, and it basically eat the ozone grass chop, 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 move their head like crazy. I'm like, okay, they do kind of explain why that is, because if you don't do that, the thing tastes bitter. So you have to eat it very quickly. Yeah. So overall, great set of episodes. All right. So that's it for this part. Stay tuned for part 3, which I'm going to cover episodes 49 to 68, which is going to be the reality of the Gourmet War arc, Milk Stardust, Bella Cola, and of course the crossover with One Piece. Excuse me. Though, starting with the Milk Stardust arc after the first episode, I'm out of dub episodes because Filmation never finished. Nope. Yeah, I have no idea why. I've never found out the reasoning for why they stopped dubbing this thing after only dubbing 51 episodes. They dub episodes 2 through 50 and 52. I'm like, that's it? You don't dub anything else? And you don't dub the crossovers of One Piece? I'm like, you had the dubbing rights, the right to dub Toriko. Why couldn't you do that both? It's so odd. Yeah, and there is a character that's gonna pop up in Millicom. I'll talk about him next part, but he's mentioned several times. He's mentioned in Century Soup, and he's mentioned Pepper Law. And that's Zebra. I'll get talking about him more when I get a chance to talk about Melicola, which is his first full appearance, because a lot of the time when this guy's shown up, he's only appeared in shadow, or at least in brief images. But that particular arc is his first full appearance. Alright? So, until we see our next part, bye.